They say beauty comes at a price, but what if the most magical lights for your garden could come from things you were about to throw away? Tonight, I'm going to show you how to turn everyday cans, bottles, and jars into glowing treasures that transform your backyard. Welcome to Backyard Fortune, where creativity meets heart. In this video, you'll find timestamps so you can jump to your favorite idea, and if you have questions, leave them in the comments. And if you love this, I hope you'll subscribe and create with us. Maybe to you, I'm just another video on your feed. But behind this screen is a real story, a small family chasing a dream. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it doesn't just help the channel grow, it keeps hope alive. You're not just supporting content. You're giving us a reason to keep creating. Thank you for choosing to be here. Thank you for believing in us. 1. Spring mattress vertical garden wall. Imagine walking into a garden where something once forgotten has found its second life. At first glance, you see nothing more than a frame of rusted springs, the skeleton of an old mattress. But instead of being tossed aside, it has been reborn as a living wall of color. Terracotta pots nestle neatly into the coils, their rims held securely in place, carrying blooms of petunias, white pansies, and trailing ivy. Bees drift lazily from one flower to another, the gentle hum blending with the warmth of the afternoon air. The metal itself, once tired and dull, seems to glow softly, as if proud of its new role as host to a vertical garden. Further along, another frame leans against a weathered wooden fence, this time filled with a mix of herbs and flowers. Basil leaves glisten after a morning shower, lavender spikes add soft fragrance to the breeze, and bright geraniums spill out with bursts of red. Some pots are clay, others are simply upcycled tin cans, proof that beauty doesn't need to be expensive, only thoughtful. Moss grows at the base of the frame, tying the scene into its surroundings and making the garden feel timeless, as if it had always been there. And then you notice a more playful version, where pastel-painted pots and small glass jars are tucked between the coils. Daisies beam in white and yellow, pansies add their splash of violet, and tiny grapevines curl up and around, their leaves catching the sunlight. Ladybugs crawl lazily over the petals, bees hover in midair, and the entire frame feels like a secret garden corner designed by nature herself. It's whimsical, yes, but every detail makes sense, every pot is secure, every plant is placed with care. That is the quiet magic of upcycling. You're not only saving an object from the landfill, but also giving it purpose again. Old mattress springs are surprisingly sturdy, perfect for holding pots in place. With a little cleaning, a splash of paint, and a bit of imagination, they transform into vertical gardens that fit anywhere, from a small balcony to a sprawling backyard. The best part is how adaptable they are, herbs for cooking, flowers for color, or even trailing vines for drama. So the next time you pass by something broken and ready to be discarded, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, could this hold life again? Could this, like the springs in these gardens, cradle not just flowers, but a story of renewal? In the quiet glow of the evening sun, when butterflies still linger in the air and shadows stretch across the lawn, you'll see it clearly. Beauty often hides inside what we think is useless, waiting only for a second chance. Two, bicycle chain flower wall art. There's a quiet kind of joy in discovering beauty where most people only see scraps of metal. Old bicycle chains, stiff with rust and grease, might appear destined for the bin. But with a little patience, some cleaning, and a splash of paint, they can be transformed into something extraordinary. Imagine stepping into a garden where the fence blooms with oversized flowers, not from petals, but from the very links that once turned wheels along sunlit roads. Bright red, turquoise, and golden yellow blossoms spread across the wooden boards, catching the light and casting playful shadows. Ivy weaves around them, softening the edges, and the contrast between living greenery and painted steel feels both unexpected and delightful. Elsewhere, against a whitewashed wall, chains have been coiled and layered into roses the size of dinner plates, their metallic curls forming blossoms in deep blue and copper. Around their stems, more chains have been bent into leaves and vines, creating an entire floral mural. Below, neat rows of terracotta pots hold plump succulents, while butterflies drift lazily past, as though they, too, were fooled by this strange marriage of nature and machine. The scene feels industrial and tender at once, a reminder that art and utility are never as far apart as we think. And then, in another corner, chains painted in cheerful pastel shades have been arranged into concentric blooms, like candy-colored daisies decorating a garden fence. Yellow marigolds grow beneath them, echoing the brightness above, while climbing vines frame the display. The whole wall becomes a celebration of color, of resourcefulness, of finding wonder in the ordinary. This is what makes projects like these so captivating. They are not just about recycling, they are about storytelling. Every chain once carried someone through city streets or along country paths. Now it carries new meaning, reshaped into petals that never wilt. If you decide to try this yourself, the process is surprisingly simple. Clean the chains thoroughly, shape them with pliers, secure them to a backing with screws or welds, and finish with bold paint to protect and highlight their form. The result is more than decoration, it's a piece of living art, where history and imagination bloom side by side. Three, floral pillowcase pot wraps. There's something instantly comforting about fabric, the way patterns can soften even the most ordinary object. Imagine stepping into a garden where plain terracotta pots are no longer just containers, but little parcels of joy wrapped in vintage pillowcases with cheerful floral prints. Roses bloom from within, their roots hidden in pots now dressed in fuchsia, sunflower yellow, and sky blue. Tied with simple twine, they look like gifts waiting to be opened, and as bees drift lazily from flower to flower, the whole bench they rest on feels alive with color and warmth. In another corner, the mood becomes gentler. Pots wrapped in soft, pastel fabrics with tiny roses and wildflower motifs line a stone patio. Lace ribbons hold them in place, adding a touch of old-world charm. Lavender spikes reach upward, mint leaves spread their fragrance in the air, and ivy climbs quietly up the wall behind them. The rugged stone and delicate fabric create a harmony of textures, one sturdy, one tender, together telling a story of balance between nature's resilience and our human desire to decorate and nurture. And then, there's the herb shelf bathed in golden morning light. Basil and mint grow happily from pots wrapped in bold floral sleeves, patterns of green leaves and pink blossoms making them look as though they've sprouted straight from a fabric meadow. Butterflies hover overhead, drawn by both the flowers nearby and the playful illusion of blossoms printed on cloth. It's whimsical, yes, but completely believable, a DIY anyone can try with nothing more than old pillowcases, a pair of scissors, and a bit of string or ribbon. This is the quiet magic of upcycling. Instead of throwing away worn fabrics, you let them tell a new story. They protect your pots from cracks, disguise mismatched containers, and brighten any garden nook with personality. More than decoration, they remind us that beauty often lies not in what we buy, but in what we choose to see differently. And when the sunlight catches those fabrics, glowing against the greenery, you realize it's not just your plants that have been refreshed, it's the entire spirit of the garden. Four, Calendar Starry Lantern. As daylight softens and evening begins to fold itself across the garden, there's a moment when ordinary objects take on a quiet magic. Hanging from the branches of a tree, an old turquoise calendar begins to glow with a warm light. The tiny perforations scatter beams across the grass like stars, while fireflies drift lazily around, echoing the lantern's twinkle. Beneath it, lavender bushes breathe out their fragrance into the night air. It feels as though the garden has borrowed a piece of the sky. On a wooden table nearby, another calendar, this one white, chipped with age and softened by use, shines a golden pattern across the stone floor. Circles of light dance among terracotta pots filled with daisies and herbs. The evening sun, setting low on the horizon, casts its last rays through the holes, adding depth to the lantern's glow. It's rustic, unpolished, yet deeply beautiful, reminding us that even objects worn thin by time can still be reborn as something new. And then, in a burst of color, a pergola comes alive with rows of painted calendars in red, yellow, and blue. Each holds a solar bulb, turning the entire structure into a playful canopy of starry light. The perforated patterns scatter onto the roses climbing up the posts, mixing with the scent of ivy and blossoms. The effect is part carnival, part fairy tale, whimsical but grounded, a design that anyone could replicate with a few old kitchen tools and a splash of creativity. These lanterns are more than decoration. They are proof of how imagination can stretch the life of everyday things. A calendar, meant for draining pasta, suddenly becomes a constellation maker, a storyteller, a bringer of atmosphere. It teaches us that beauty is not about buying new, but about seeing potential in what is already in our hands. When the lights flicker on, and the garden hums softly under the night sky, it is not just the space that feels brighter, it is our way of looking at the world. Five, Crate Garden Sofa Lounge. There's a certain kind of peace that comes from sitting in a garden, surrounded not by store-bought furniture, but by something you've made with your own hands. Picture this, a simple collection of wooden crates, painted in soft pastels of green and blue, stacked into shape and topped with thick cushions. Above, grapevines spill down from a pergola, and clusters of hydrangeas bloom in shades of pink, blue, and lilac. Bees drift lazily through the air while a pot of tea and a plate of biscuits rest on a small rustic table nearby. It feels as though time itself slows down in a corner like this. On another evening, perhaps brighter, the crates are painted a cheerful sunflower yellow, glowing even more vividly under the last golden rays of the day. A scattering of cushions in bold floral prints transforms the seat into something playful and inviting. A striped blanket rests on the side, ready to be pulled over your shoulders once the sun dips lower. Around it, potted daisies, marigolds, and trailing ivy soften the edges, turning a simple patio into a garden lounge full of character and warmth. And then there's the beauty of leaving the wood raw, letting its grain and imperfections tell a story of where it's been. Crates, sanded and polished, fitted together into a sturdy frame, become the bones of a sofa that feels timeless. A patchwork of vibrant cushions lines the seat, every piece of fabric adding its own voice. The sofa rests on a mossy lawn where roses and wildflowers bloom freely, lanterns glowing in the trees above. In this moment, the garden feels less like a backyard and more like a sanctuary. The magic of these crate sofas is not only in their charm but in their accessibility. Crates are inexpensive, often free if you know where to look. A little sanding, a coat of paint or varnish, and some creativity with cushions are all it takes to transform them. They prove that comfort and beauty don't have to be costly, they simply require imagination and the patience to bring an idea to life. In the end, what you create is more than furniture. It's a gathering place, a memory maker, and a quiet reminder that the most inviting spaces are the ones we build ourselves. Six, oil drum mini pond. Sometimes, the most surprising treasures come from the most unexpected places. An old oil drum, once forgotten in a corner, can be reborn as a tranquil mini pond, a pocket of calm that transforms a garden into something extraordinary. With a fresh coat of turquoise paint, water shimmers against its curved sides, dotted with floating lilies. Beneath the surface, a few goldfish weave in and out of the shadows, their bright scales catching the light. Around the base, ferns and moss spread quietly, softening the edges, while dragonflies hover and dip, as though nature itself has chosen this spot to rest. In another setting, the drum keeps its rustic character, painted a deep green, its edges kissed with rust that speaks of time. The water surface bursts alive with lotus blooms in shades of pink, their reflections dancing across the ripples. Marigolds and ivy tumble gracefully around the pond's rim, framing it in color. A frog perches on a nearby stone, watching silently, adding to the illusion that this miniature pond has always belonged here. It's wild and whimsical, but believable, a piece of reclaimed beauty that feels like it grew out of the garden itself. And then there is the version that leans into elegance, the drum halved and painted sky blue, set against a stone patio. White lilies float serenely while grasses rise tall from one side, giving height and balance to the design. As twilight falls, lanterns glow beside the pond, casting soft patterns across the water. Butterflies drift above, and a curious bird pauses at the edge, its reflection trembling beneath it. The scene is peaceful but alive, a little stage where light, water, and nature come together. The beauty of these mini ponds lies not only in their charm but in their practicality. They are small enough for even the most modest gardens, yet they bring the magic of water features without the need for expensive installations. With just a repurposed drum, some sealant, plants, and imagination, you can create a living centerpiece that attracts insects, birds, and endless quiet moments of joy. It's proof that even industrial scraps can hold the potential to mirror the stillness of a lake or the wonder of a hidden woodland pool. Seven, ladder-tiered plant stand. Sometimes, the simplest objects hold the most enchanting potential. An old ladder, once used for practical chores, can be reborn as a stage for nature's colors. Lean it gently against a cottage wall or let it stand tall beneath the branches of a fruit tree. Step by step, each rung becomes a place where terracotta pots find new purpose, spilling over with geraniums, lavender, pansies, or marigolds that breathe life into forgotten wood. Bees hum happily around daisies at the base, and butterflies drift lazily between blossoms, as though approving of this handmade sanctuary. The beauty of this idea lies not only in its charm but also in its practicality. By using a ladder as a vertical plant stand, you save ground space while adding height and depth to your garden. Herbs can occupy the lower steps, always within reach for a quick snip in the kitchen, while trailing vines can cascade gracefully from the top, softening the rustic edges of the ladder. Over time, Moss may settle at the feet, merging the structure seamlessly into the garden's fabric. As daylight fades, the transformation can be even more magical. Hanging lanterns or solar lights from the upper rungs cast a gentle glow across the flowers, making the ladder stand shimmer like a fairy tale sculpture in the twilight. This is proof that beauty doesn't always come from expensive designs. Sometimes, it blooms from the simplest acts of reuse and imagination. And perhaps the most inspiring part is how easy it is to do yourself. A little sanding, a fresh coat of paint, a few pots of flowers, and you've created a vertical garden that feels both personal and poetic. Eight. Plastic bottle watering can. Imagine stepping into a garden where even the simplest objects take on a new life. In one corner, a pair of hands tilts a humble plastic bottle, its cap carefully pierced to release a shower of fine droplets. The water sparkles in the afternoon sun as it cascades down onto golden marigolds and fresh herbs, while butterflies drift lazily through the air and bees busily hum from flower to flower. It's a gentle reminder that caring for nature doesn't need fancy tools. It can be as simple as giving a bottle a second chance. Elsewhere, a bright blue soda bottle has been reborn as a cheerful watering can. Its playful spray nourishes rows of basil, mint, and parsley nestled in terracotta pots. The leaves glisten with moisture, looking as if they've just been kissed by morning dew. Sunlight streams in, highlighting the vibrant greens and delicate herbs, making this small corner of the garden feel like a secret retreat. With nothing more than a recycled bottle, the everyday act of watering plants becomes a tender ritual of connection with the earth. And then there is the green bottle, transformed with a simple DIY sprinkler cap. As it tilts forward, a golden rain falls over daisies and pansies growing in a mossy bed. Each drop catches the morning light, scattering tiny sparks of brightness across the petals. In the background, a wooden bench rests against a weathered fence, inviting anyone to sit and soak in the quiet beauty of the scene. It's proof that sustainability and creativity can blend seamlessly, turning what might have been waste into a tool that nourishes life and adds charm to the garden. Through these simple acts, plastic bottles move beyond their throwaway identity. They become a bridge between human ingenuity and nature's resilience, a reminder that beauty often lies not in what we buy, but in what we imagine possible. Nine. Painted tin can lanterns. When daylight fades and the first stars appear, a humble tin can, something we often toss aside, can transform into a vessel of light and wonder. Imagine walking down a garden path lined with painted cans in bright turquoise and sunflower yellow, their surfaces pierced with delicate starbursts and petals. As candles flicker within, patterns of glowing dots spill across the stones, almost as if the earth itself has begun to bloom with light. Ferns sway in the evening breeze, roses lean closer, and the whole path feels like an invitation into a storybook garden. These lanterns are born of simple craft: a can, a splash of paint, a handful of carefully placed holes. Yet their effect is anything but simple. On a wooden fence, pink, orange, and blue lanterns dangle like jewels, their light streaming through intricate designs. The glow catches the edges of climbing ivy, while daisies below seem to bask in their borrowed starlight. It is both playful and serene, a reminder that creativity can turn scraps into warmth. On a rustic patio table, a gathering of painted lanterns flickers in harmony with the herbs and ivy surrounding them. Patterns of dots, blossoms, and playful polka dots dance across the wood, casting shifting shadows that seem alive with their own quiet rhythm. These little lights do more than decorate. They anchor moments, an evening meal with loved ones, a pause in the twilight with tea in hand, the hush of a summer night as crickets begin to sing. Crafting them is easier than it seems. With a nail and hammer, or even a simple drill, you can create your own constellation of patterns. Paint brings character, soft pastels for a calm glow, bold primaries for festive energy. Add a candle or LED light, and what was once waste becomes a timeless companion for your evenings outdoors. These lanterns show us something profound, that beauty doesn't demand perfection or expense. It often comes from what we already hold in our hands, waiting for a little patience, a little imagination, and the courage to see magic where others see only trash. (10) Mason jar outdoor candle holders. As the evening slowly deepens and the garden begins to hum with the softer sounds of night, mason jars filled with candles take on a life of their own. Their glass catches the glow in ways that feel both familiar and magical, as if they've always belonged to twilight. Set upon wooden tables among pots of basil, rosemary, and ivy, the flickering flames create a cocoon of warmth. It's simple, yet transformative. An ordinary jar becomes a vessel of calm, bringing the quiet comfort of candlelight into the open air. Look up, and you might see them suspended from tree branches, swaying gently in the breeze. Hung with twine, each jar cradles a candle that spills its golden light over roses and lavender, while fireflies drift in and out of the scene. Here, practicality meets poetry. By day, the jars are storage. By night, they are lanterns guiding conversations, laughter, or solitary moments beneath the stars. And the best part, anyone can make them. A spare jar, some rustic string, and a candle are all it takes to create your own enchanted canopy. For those who dream of pathways that seem to lead into a storybook, lining a garden walk with mason jars is a simple, breathtaking trick. Resting on mossy stones, the candles illuminate each step while highlighting the surrounding marigolds and daisies. As the sky shifts from lavender to midnight, the path feels less like a walkway and more like an invitation to linger, to wonder, to remember that beauty often requires nothing more than the courage to reuse what's already at hand. DIY projects like these remind us that it doesn't take much to change how a space feels. A jar you might have tossed away becomes a candle holder that makes summer nights linger longer. Add citronella candles to keep mosquitoes at bay, or choose unscented ones to let the fragrance of your flowers take center stage. Each variation adds a layer of intimacy and charm, tailored to your own garden's rhythm. And once you've lit them, you'll find that you don't just see the glow, you feel it, wrapping around you like a gentle embrace. And there you have it, 5 ways to bring light, warmth, and wonder into your garden using nothing more than what's already around you. Which one was your favorite? Tell me in the comments below. I'd love to hear your ideas too. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share it with someone who loves DIY, and subscribe to Backyard Fortune for more creative upcycling projects. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep creating, and keep finding magic in the simplest things.